So welcome everybody. It is Thursday morning and we're into the start of the financial year. We're already halfway through March, so I hope the year is going well for everybody so far. So as you saw on the invite, thanks for making the time. There's a number of you on the call and we're recording this for those that couldn't make it. We put some time in the diary to share what we call the six-step framework. This is a system that we use in Action Coach business coaching around the world. And it's basically a recipe on how you can get your business more efficient, more profitable, and so what I want you to do is start, as I'm going to take you through some concepts in the session over the next hour, take notes, use this as a framework to look at your own business, to kind of get an idea what's working, what's not working, what are the areas that need improvement, and how can we go from there. So have a bit of fun with us. I hope you got a good cup of coffee in your hand. And what we mentioned earlier as well, if everybody just keep yourselves muted, there's often background noise that you might not even be aware of. But if ever you want to say something or make a note or ask a question, just unmute yourself and um, shout in. I like it to be participative. We run these sessions in person every now and then, and much as online is quick and efficient, and people can tune in from everywhere. We also you don't get the same level of participation as you do online. So yeah, please participate as much as you want and ask any questions. And obviously also use the chat if there is a question you want to ask, but it's not urgent, or if you want to share an observation, put it in the chat as well. But let's get stuck in. So yeah, while we're here, it's always nice when people connect. So please use the chat, put in your name and the company, what it is that you do. But put a note there as well. I'd like to know from people, what is your exit plan inside the business? You know, do you plan to sell the business one day? Do you plan to hand the business over to your kids? Do you plan to sell it to your staff? Do you want to list on a stock exchange? Do you want to open multiple branches? It's always an important question to ask yourself regularly. So start putting that in the chat. Just interested to know, what is that long-term plan? Because what we see too often is people get to retirement age or out of necessity having to sell a business and the business isn't sellable, or we lose all this time. So I'm just interested to know, what is your exit plan? Because that's a lot of what we do in businesses, is help businesses get ready to sell, to scale, etc. For those of you that don't know us, a quick introduction to our company, Action Coach Business Coaching. We're a global business. We've been going for good grief, 33 years now around the world. We're in over 80 countries, 82 countries now, with about 1,000 offices around the world. The company is still privately owned by a guy called Brad Sugars, who founded the company in Australia 33 years ago. And this is partly what really resonated with me with the business, is this global vision that Brad drafted 33 years ago. World abundance through business re-education. We fully embrace this vision. As one of the things that appealed to me when I bought into the franchise was this vision. You know, we believe in abundance. We believe there's enough money out there for everybody to be successful, for everybody to have a successful business. And as businesses grow, businesses can hire more people, create more jobs, create more abundance in communities around the world. And it's small, medium, large-sized businesses that are doing such incredible things in job creation. And this is what we do on a daily basis, is we want to help as many businesses as possible succeed. We have a lot of fun doing it. So let's have some fun, and I'll share with you some of these concepts. A bit about me. I've been in the franchise now for, 16 years now. So I was South African born, overseas a number of times, both as a teenager and as an adult, and was running my last job before buying this franchise, was running a design and communications consultancy in the Middle East. So I spent 9-10 years in the Middle East, having a lot of fun, but I'd always been looking at businesses to get into. And this is where I discovered Action Coach. And back in 2009, I'd been looking at business opportunities here in South Africa and discovered the franchise that had just launched in SA. And I thought, wow, what a cool business to be involved in. Yeah, to build a business, helping other businesses grow at the same time. So I've been doing that for 16 years now, and having a lot of fun in the process. So put in the chat as well. I see maybe some of you have worked with a coach before, maybe haven't, maybe some of you haven't. But I like to ask this question. You know, coaching is permission based. You know, we never want to coach people that don't want to be coached, because you can imagine that's it's not going to be fun for the person being coached, and it's definitely not fun for the coach. And those of you that worked with a coach before, even if you haven't, picture a sports coach. You know, they can be nice people, but it doesn't mean they're always being nice. Imagine you've got a sports coach and you set some goals that you want to win a certain race, you want to win a certain competition, you want to increase your maximum lift if you're into weightlifting. If you're a runner, you want to improve your time in whatever event and whatever distance it is. And the coach is there to give you a push, right? To give you advice, to give you guidance, to observe your stride, etc. But at the same time, so we're there to help and give you a pat on the back when you need. But obviously, the coach is also, our job is there to give you a kick in the pants when you need it as well, because we all need a kick in the pants, right? You can picture the athlete that wakes up one morning and says, "Oh, it's raining, and I think I'm going to stay in bed and watch Netflix." And you send a message like that to your coach. Can you imagine? I mean, you're going to get extra push-ups and burpees and have to run extra laps to make up for the extra time spent in bed. And the reason I ask that for your permission is because obviously what I'll be doing over the course of this session, I'll be asking you some questions in the business, and I'll be talking about observations that we've made over the years. Because as you can imagine, as an organization for 33 years, we coach typically 25,000 businesses a week, and we see patterns that business owners and entrepreneurs fall into. So we're always wanting to, I'll be pointing out some of those patterns and traps that we fall into. And so when I say things like you maybe do this or you maybe do that, please don't be offended. I'm not talking to you directly, but if I do offend you, then probably I am talking to you. If we find every now and then we touch a nerve on some things that we get wrong inside the business. So I'll be asking some tough questions and wanting you to be asking some tough questions on yourself. And Katie, thank you. I've got your permission there in the chat to coach for the next hour. And good to see you last night. That was a great event. Right, so let's get stuck in. So we've got permission to be your coach. We're going to be tough on you, and you're going to be tough on yourselves, because that's the thing that we need to do. And as coaches, typically these are the three areas that we work on with most businesses. When people knock on our door for support in the business, it's usually around time, team, and money. So some people are working too hard and getting home too late, and the kids don't even recognize them. So we've got to work on systems and efficiencies and diary management. Other businesses where there's high staff turnover and team members that aren't fully embracing the business and embracing the job. And obviously, very often where people knock on our door, with businesses that are not consistently profitable. So there we help businesses work on marketing and sales strategies and financial management to improve profitability in the business. So typically, it's one of those three areas. There's usually a challenge in one of those three areas that's keeping a typical business owner awake at night. And what I'll be doing in this process, in this webinar now, is I'll be showing you how these three challenges in business are actually all linked. And there's a set process and a set system on how you can improve each of these areas to get a business that's going to deliver for you what you hoped it would deliver when you first started your business. So one of the first things I always want to work on with people is mindset. And we talk about this concept around the world. We talk about the point of power. And it's a concept we teach our clients around the world, is, human beings, we're wired in a certain way. When things go wrong, we're not getting results. We're not earning enough money as an employee. We're a business owner and the business is not profitable enough. When a customer complaint comes in, first instinct, right, is to go below what we call that point of power. We play the blame game because it's always somebody else's fault, right? Never mind. We're nobody to blame. We make excuses. And how often when there's a problem, when there's a challenge in the business, we put our head in the sand, we go into a state of denial, and we pretend the problem isn't even there. We think the problem's going to fix itself. And all of you, I imagine, will know people just like this that spend their lives below this point of power. Not fun to deal with people like that. And you wonder why things don't even get better in that space. It's giving reasons why we haven't achieved what we want to achieve. So the first thing in business and life in general is consciously, when we catch ourselves playing the blame game, when we catch ourselves making excuses, etc., we need to autocorrect. Say this, I've got to take ownership of this. I've let that mistake happen. If I want a better life, it's up to me. If I want to improve the business cash flow, it's up to me. If I want to. So the first thing is this mindset of ownership, and teaching this to your teams as well. You'll always know when you walk into one of our clients' offices, they usually have this up on the wall, and it becomes part of the company culture. So not just ownership, that it's up to me to fix my results, but accountability. If we say we're going to set a goal, we're going to need to have the goal up on the wall, and by hook or by crook, we chase it. That's generally why a lot of people engage a business coach in the business, because big corporate, there's a lot of accountability. The board of directors report to the shareholders, the CEO reports to the board of directors, exco manco report up the line, etc. So if people don't hit their deadlines, hit their targets, their heads roll, right? But in entrepreneurial businesses, you have the owner of the business, and if she or he doesn't hit a goal or a performance goal or whatever it might be, we go, well, no problem. We'll try again next year. We'll try again next month. And there's nobody to give you that kick in the pants when you need it, because human beings don't like accountability. So who do you have holding you accountable inside your business? And the last area there is responsibility. I love the two words that make up that word. We have the ability to choose our response. So if you catch ourselves playing the blame game and being the victim, we need to autocorrect because the faster we autocorrect, the faster we can start fixing things. And that's why we love using this language in teams, because I see it so often now with clients that we've worked with. I've been in this business now for 16 years, and workshopping things and working with my client teams, you hear them use this language all the time, calling each other out, say, hey, you, stop being below the point of power, get above it, catch up with the rest of us, and helping one another achieve so much more. So take this concept on board and teach it to your teams, please. And if you need, we workshop it with staff as part of team buildings and things like that. So mindset, critical. We're not going to spend a lot of time on mindset today. I want to get into some of the other areas of the business, more the technical side, and the time we have available. The main thing also I wanted to share with you, just around mindset though, is a lot of you might have heard of this concept called BFOs, blinding flashes of the obvious. How often do we have it where we're listening to an audio book or reading a book, we're at a talk, we're at a conference, we're on a webinar like this, listening to a podcast, and every now and then the speaker or somebody on the chat forum will say something and you get that little aha moment, right? So that light bulb goes off. You think, oh my gosh, I should do that in my business, right? We call them blinding flashes of the obvious, because it's always obvious. It's such simple things that make big differences in the business. So we always like to give it a name, those blinding flashes of the obvious, because as fast as those ideas hit us, they're gone again. So we always say to everybody in our sessions with our clients and our client community is, when you have one of these BFOs or blinding flashes of the obvious, please raise your hand, unmute yourself, share it with everybody else, or type it into the chat box so everybody else can benefit. But it's important to write it down. When you get those ideas, write them down, because very often they're things you can get back to the office and implement. You can delegate it onto somebody to say, change that little system, implement this idea, put it on a to-do list. Because what happens is, the reason they're blinding flashes of the obvious is, as soon as we have the idea, our subconscious mind carries on fixing other problems. And if we haven't written down that idea, we don't implement it. And if we don't implement the idea, we've all had this, right? A month later, a week later, 3 months later, we have a big train smash in the business. We lose a customer, we lose money, and we look back and suddenly we remember that BFO from last month. We go, oh, I knew the solution. I heard it at that talk with Trevor. It was in that book. I didn't write down the idea. I didn't implement it. And now I'm having to deal with the consequence of not implementing that BFO. So please share the BFOs with one another, type them into the chat, or unmute yourself and share it with the rest of us. But please, it's knowledge. As I say, knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. So when we get these ideas, we've got to implement them, get them onto your to-do list, your checklist, build it into the plan. I'm going to be throwing a lot of ideas at you over there. How are we doing here? Yeah, we've got a good 45 minutes ahead of us, so we've got plenty of ground that we can cover and have some fun with that stuff. So blinding flashes of the obvious, please implement them. Because let's look at your business now, right? We have two business owners on this slide here, right? Applied knowledge. Two business owners here, top left and bottom right. And this is a reality that we see around the business, around the world. Entrepreneurship can be the most amazing things. Most of us start working for somebody else in a career. We have a job, and at some point, most business owners take this leap of faith. There's an author called Michael Gerber. He calls it the entrepreneurial spasm, We think, if I resigned and started my own business, I'm gonna make so much more money. I'm gonna have so much more free time on my hands. I'm gonna have this beautiful lifestyle, right? So we envision this family on the bottom right, because that's a typical working day. I got a business, I got staff running the business for me, I'm making lots of money, and I'm spending my time on the golf course or on the beach. And that's the vision that a lot of people have of entrepreneurship. And what we find around the world is people 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, 10 years into business, they're not having this life like we see down the bottom right. We look like this chap on the top left there, and business owners that are buried in the business and working long hours, sometimes working longer hours than they used to work in their careers. And very often we're finding business owners that are actually taking home less money than they used to make in their careers, and not even paying themselves a market related salary. And this is one of my passions in life, is to change the cycle and help people redress that and get back to falling in love with their businesses again, and helping the business deliver on the dreams and the vision of why they started that business in the first place. So I'm not going to ask anybody in particular to say, where are you on that spectrum? But we do find the trend around the world is most business owners are buried inside the business. So often we don't have a business. We find many business owners don't own a business, but own a job. And you know what that acronym stands for? Just over broke. Working longer hours and taking home less money than we did than when we were a salaried employee. So what does a real business look like? If I had to ask each of you, what is the definition of a successful business? I imagine a couple of words would come to mind, right? And we all have a different definition of business. But note that I'm asking the question here, definition of a successful business. And in our business globally, this is the definition that we came up with a number of years ago. A commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. So if we don't own one of these, we own a job. Because a job means if we don't go to work today, we don't make money. If we don't go to work today, our customers don't get served well. So God forbid we have a sick day or want to take a holiday or things like this. But if we're a successful business that we can tick all of these boxes, commercial business means it's a real business providing a real service, delivering value, goals, plans in place, etc. Profitable business. And I should say here, consistently profitable, not making a profit 1 month and making a loss the next month, which means we average it out to we're just breaking even. We need to be profitable every month. A business that works means it's a business that's got systems in place. And a business that works without you means we have other people running the systems for us, so that the owner doesn't have to be there 24/7. So usually this is why people knock on our door as coaches. They say, I want one of those things. I want a profitable business that works without me. Because we find most entrepreneurs out there have got these big visions, right? They want to not just have one business, they want to open multiple businesses. They want to get this business working so well that they can open branches in other territories. They want to, so you can imagine a business that's profitable working without you with systems in place. You can franchise a business like that. A business that is profitable and working without you can be sold a lot more easier and can be sold for a lot higher value. Because if somebody's going to buy your business, the new buyer doesn't want to be paying you a salary every month. They want you out of the business, so those profits can go to the owner, or they'd hire a general manager possibly at a lower salary than you'd be paying yourself. So the more we can tick those boxes, the higher the value of selling the business. So easier said than done, right? So there's a definition of a business of a successful business. How do we get there? And that's why what we use in Action Coach is what we call a 6-step framework. And you'll see from the invitation to today's event, we called it the 6-step framework to building a better business, to building a business that works without you, to building a business that you can scale. Because if we don't have these 6 steps in place, we're never going to scale. And it's basically a recipe that our business has been using for 33 years. And as you saw in that early introduction slide, we've got 1,000 coaches around the world, a typical coach working with 15 to 25 clients at any moment in time. So 25,000 clients a week that are learning this system, implementing it in their businesses. And once you know the system, you can implement it in multiple businesses. So I'm going to take you through the 6-step framework. Picture your own business, where you're at on it. It's a route map to building a business. And the idea behind it is I'll be over the next sort of half hour or so. I'll take you through this journey. What I'm describing is typically a 3 to 4 year business coaching um, journey or business coaching relationship. So this is the process that we coach businesses through. Obviously, we have some businesses that speed through it in the course of a year and just fine tune very quickly. Other businesses takes 2 to 3 to 4 years to learn the stuff and implement it inside the business. We've got other businesses we've been coaching for 15, 16 years over multiple businesses. But this framework works. It's been proven in 82 countries around the world. And as you'll see now, as I take you through these steps, you'll see it's actually the logical evolution of how a good business evolves, but we'll show you how you can fast track that evolution and get those results a lot faster when you learn how. So this is what the framework looks like. It's an ascending ladder. We go through these 6 levels as building a business. And just like building a house, you don't start with the roof and painting the house, you start with the foundations. It's the same with a business. If we are building a business if you're building from a business from scratch, you do all these levels before you even launch. Most of our clients are running businesses, going concerns. So think of this now, you're going to still do the day-to-day running of your business, but we want to start putting attention in each of these areas, but in the proper sequence. So quickly taking you through it, and then we'll drill down on each level. So the mastery is making sure the foundation's on place and that you're building on a solid, eliminating the chaos basically, and building from a solid base. Once you've got your foundations in place, then is a good time to start looking at marketing and getting marketing and sales engine, machine, the strategy in place to start getting consistent profits and growing the business. Now, see, it's important we've got to get the foundations right first before we start growing too fast. Otherwise, you're going to start getting some cracks and it's going to be a bit scary. Once we are stable, once we've got consistent cash coming through the business, we want to start freeing up some time. How do we free up time? Well, that's now where we start taking a much better look at the systems inside your business. Look at things like organization charts, job descriptions, induction processes, how-to manuals, checklists, all those lovely things. So we can start systematizing the business. We use the word leverage and becoming more efficient. Once your systems are at a better state and more polished, with systems in place, now we can start growing the team and hiring staff to run the systems for us. With the team running those systems, now a business gets to that point that we call synergy, where the owner doesn't have to be on site 24/7 because there are people that know what to do. They've been empowered to run the business for you. So a synergy level business is very often where the owner might hire a general manager or an ops manager to run the day-to-day of the business, so the owner can free up his or her time to do other things. So we're at a synergy level, the owner of the business might be working mornings only or working 3 days a week, etc. A results level business is a business that you never need to be at. You can disappear for a month and go sailing in Croatia or something like that, and the staff don't even know you're there. We've actually just in our system, we've renamed that level. We don't call it results anymore. I must update this slide. We call it freedom. Freedom is a business that's fully working without you, meaning you've got time and capacity to do other things. So this is the process. As you see, as we drill down on each of these levels now, you'll see that as a business owner, each of you are working on all of these different areas at any moment in time because you're an established business, you're a going concern. But obviously, the idea is where should we focus? Because you don't want to be spending too much time, for instance, on team if you don't have the systems in place. You always have to have the level behind to, we do a lot, for instance, in the recruitment space. I spend a lot of my time helping clients in that area and sitting in on job interviews and things like that. And often when people come to me for help with team, they say, let's start hiring, which means that's a team level activity. My job is to say, let's go back a level, show me the systems. Have you updated the organization chart? Where's the job description that this person is going to be fulfilling? What KPIs are he or she supposed to be reporting on? Get that stuff right, then your recruitment is going to have a much better strike rate, and that person is going to be a lot successful, a lot faster. So, Casey, I just saw you put a comment on there. That is your OP. Yes. You need to grow the team and the system. Otherwise, it's no predictable cash flow. Or it'll be stuck with you, right? 100%. Thanks for sharing the BFO. So let's drill down on mastery now. So the first level, so the mastery is about, do we have a commercial business? So what does mastery look like? Typically, there's 4 areas you want to look at mastery. First, destination mastery. Do we have real clarity on where we're taking it? And I'll drill down on each of these even further. Where are we going? Have we taken the time to document that? Money mastery, are we on the numbers? Time mastery, how productive are you? How productive is your team? And delivery mastery, are you ready to scale and are you able to deliver consistently? If you start growing your customers, will you be able to take care of all that new business once you start getting good at marketing? So yeah, destination mastery, the first area. A couple of areas there. It's about having the goals. It's about having a plan in place. What we do with our clients is we do an alignment process. The first month of coaching usually is an alignment consultation where we sit down and spend a lot of quality time with the business owner, helping him or her get real clarity on their personal goals first and then the business goals. Our personal goals first, right? Because we always want to be clarity on what is it that you want. Once you clarity on what you want, then we've got to see what does the business need to do to deliver on your goals, not the other way around. Business should be serving you, getting a plan in place. Often it's things, part of destination mastery is getting real clarity on your company vision. Um, you know, why did we bring that? Why did we build that business? Too often we forget what was that original idea 10 years ago. How did we want to change the world? And there's some, if you look at any of the top entrepreneurs out there in the world, there's usually this driving vision or mission that they're on, and they're shouting it from the rooftops. On that, Steve Jobs used to call it the dent that he wants to make in the universe. So, have you spent some time getting real clarity on your vision, as well as the goals and plans that are going to get you there? And my favorite example of this, if any of you do any scuba diving, you'll know those words well, right? Plan the dive, dive the plan. You know, in a sport like scuba, I used to do a lot of that when I was younger, and I used to live underwater, actually blowing bubbles. And you'll hear the dive master or whoever's leading the dive, you'd spend a lot of time before you even get on the boat mapping out exactly where we're going, how deep we're going to drive, what are the currents looking like, what's our depth, what's our bottom time going to be, using dive tables and things like that to make sure that you're not below too long, because it's dangerous. If people stay under too long, people can get the bends. If we don't read the currents well, people can get lost. There's all sorts of dangers attached. And what we see in reality, one of the first questions I ask anybody when they come to see me, and by the way, I'll mention at the end of the session, but we offer a free coaching session to business owners. It's a standing offer. We haven't anybody on the call. If you're listening to the recording, we offer a free consult, a free coaching session, help you look at these concepts at your business, and I'll help you on a one-to-one level, see which of the areas maybe you want to unpack a little bit at a deeper level. One of the first questions I ask just about every business owner I meet is, have you got a business plan, a documented business plan, not in your head, right? A documented business plan. And I've never actually, I must actually go through the responses, but if I had to guess that and I'll get you an actual statistic, but it's probably 80% plus that don't have documented goals and plans. But we find the same business owners that aren't spending time to document their business goals and plans will spend plenty of time planning the dive, planning the holiday, planning the trip to Cape Town, planning the trip to Dubai, whatever it might be. So we spend lots of time planning our hobbies, but no time setting goals and planning on the business. That's one of the very first things we've got to get right in businesses is that destination mastery. The next area that is money mastery. So remember, businesses do not speak English. Businesses speak numbers. I find there's a real spectrum of business owners that are totally financially illiterate, and other business owners that are, chartered accountants and they have very high level of financial knowledge. And there's extremes of that. But what we find is money, getting on top of the numbers is one of the real key things keeping people lying awake at night. Financial stress, health stress, relationship stress, very much around numbers. And very often what we find is sometimes the numbers aren't that bad, but people don't actually know their numbers, aren't reading the numbers properly. So it's one of the first things to get right is really getting on top of the numbers and tracking every penny, not just in your personal lives and your personal budget, but in your business side as well, and really getting on top of the numbers. So a couple of things around there. Here's this animation here. Have we got a good accountant? Are we using proper advanced bookkeeping software? Not just an accountant, a tax advisor, financial advisor, etc. Do you have a team of people, a coach, helping you around the numbers? Looking backwards at your historical numbers, but also looking forward at your future numbers and really getting on top of this properly. So for me, there's three key things to focus on. Uh, Budgeting, reporting, dashboards, right? Budgeting, like driving a car, you need a windscreen and you're looking through the windscreen, you're looking ahead and you can see the road ahead, you can see what the weather looks like, you can see if there's any trees in the road, any potholes in the road. That's why we have to have a budget looking ahead to see what is the coming quarter, what is the coming year going to look like as best as you can manage. Reporting, obviously, we need to also be looking backwards and see how was last month, how was last quarter, um, last year, etc. So that's why, to take that car analogy forward, we've got the rear view mirror, and the rear view mirror is looking backwards. That's last month's profit and loss account and etc. So we need to be looking for, but you see, you're driving a car, you need the mirror and you need the windscreen. Too often we meet people that only look at last month's financials. They don't have a budget looking forward. You can't drive a car only looking in the rear view mirror. And importantly, have you assembled a dashboard showing you what are those key vital statistics of the business? So, nowadays when we're driving, you can be driving a car, listening to the radio, sipping your coffee, chatting to the person on the car next to you. And just at a glance, you can look down at your dashboard, see the dials, the temperature gauges, and if everything's in the green, at a glance, you can comfortably keep enjoying your coffee. But if any warning lights start going off, we know we need to put down our coffee, turn off the radio, concentrate a bit, and maybe pull over and find out what the problem is before getting back on the road. So similarly in your business, have you assembled a dashboard where at a glance you can know your company vital statistics and know how we're doing? So if you need some help on that, as I say, reach out. We'll do a session together, chat to your accountant. There's some amazing software and tools out there. So, have we got a budget looking forward for the coming year? Here's a simple version that some of my clients use, and we've got some real sophisticated budgeting tools as well. One of the key things, if you haven't done it recently, is test out your break-even target. We find a lot of businesses, if I ask people, what is your break-even target? In other words, how much money, what sales do you need to do to cover your costs? People give me a number. I need 800,000 Rand a month or 8 million Rand a month, whatever it might be. Okay, good. We get the financials out, we test the numbers, and very often people are calculating the number wrong and chasing the wrong target. And even people that are hitting the target every month come to the end of the year and they've made this terrible loss and say, how did that happen? I was hitting my targets, but the targets weren't calculated right. Because remember, break even is not just as how much revenue you need to do to not just cover your fixed costs, but cover your variable costs as well. So the key part there is obviously your break-even target is what sale you'll take your fixed costs for the year or for the month or whatever period you're looking at and divide by your gross margin percentage times by 100. And a lot of people are not wiring their books properly when they measure their gross profit percentage, don't have the right numbers. So when you work out break-even, we're getting a number. And very often it's not just the number very often when people get it wrong, they get it very wrong and aren't just missing the target low. So it's an important exercise to do regularly because things can shift quite quickly in business without us noticing. Certain supplier costs going up. And so tracking your margin and making sure your gross margin is consistently growing, but rechecking what is that number and do we have not just a break. So if you have like a sales barometer on the board, on the wall that you and your team are chasing, are you chasing the number that's not just going to break even, that's also got a gap in there for profit as well? So we want to be chasing a profit break-even target. And lastly, the fourth area on the foundations, time mastery. Are you very clear on what are the, not just you, but your team as well, what are the key things you need to be doing every day? What are your critical drivers? Because how often do people just spend the whole day doing the wrong stuff? Stephen Covey teaches this in that book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. People spend so much of their day in the zone of distraction, doing stuff that's not urgent, not important, cleaning out old emails, surfing the internet, Facebook, Instagram, all these gossiping, chatting at the coffee machine, the water cooler, and people are just doing stuff and filling hours, right? Other times we're doing stuff that's urgent but not important. Everything's urgent nowadays. The subject line of every email, there's a knock on the door, there's a ringing phone, there's a ping notification on all these different apps that we have. So it's always urgent, right? A ring, but then we let ourselves get sucked into these sort of black holes that aren't important. So we're in the zone of delusion. And we need to remember that every day there's going to be stuff that's going to come up that's urgent and important. And we have to drop everything that we're doing because a crisis has happened. An important visitor comes to town, a certain staff member doesn't come to work, and we have to fill in for that staff member. That's the zone of demand. So we've got to factor for that stuff. But too often, and you'll see the difference here, is the stuff that's urgent, we always find time for if it's important enough. But imagine you could find time to do your important stuff before it's urgent. Business planning, we all know we should have one. But suddenly we're short on cash. We need to apply for an overdraft. Now we need a business plan. The bank manager says, I'm not going to even look at your application without a business plan. Oh my gosh, I better do a business plan. The phone's not ringing. We're not getting enough customers. I better do some marketing because now it's suddenly become important. So we should have been doing the marketing a month ago when we were very busy. That was the good time to do marketing because we forgot that when we finish these projects, our diary is going to empty out again. So we need to be doing marketing in advance. Business planning, personal development. That's the point of knowing what's important and doing it in advance. One of the things we talk about with our clients is working on your business, planning, self-development, training the team, putting systems in place. That's working on the business. And that's usually why people engage a business coach, because that's where the coach will show you how to put that time aside and then hold you accountable doing this important stuff before it becomes urgent. All right. We need to free up some of that time and set some goals around it. But the fourth area I wanted to touch on is what we call delivery mastery. What are those consistencies inside the business? My favorite example of this is there's a book called The E-Myth Revisited. And the author there talks about his favorite barbershop. He always goes for a haircut at the certain barbershop. And he walks in. The lady behind the counter always tells a little joke when she says hello, puts a smile on his face. He'll sit down for a haircut. And when they cut his hair, they bring him a cup of coffee and they fill it up as often as he wants, a bottomless cup of coffee. And it's his favorite barbershop. He walks in one day, different lady at the counter. She doesn't give the same greeting, doesn't make him smile. He doesn't get that little endorphin rush. He sits down for his haircut, gets exactly the same haircut, but nobody offers him a cup of coffee. We've all felt that, right? And he goes, oh, same haircut, walks out, pays the money. Next month, ready for his next haircut. Instead of turning left, he turns right and he tries the other barber shop down the other end of the road. It happens, right? We find out just how he likes it and then we cruelly take it away. So have you worked out what are those consistencies inside your business? Systematize them, checklisted it to make sure that those things that we're good at, make sure they always happen, regardless of who's on the front desk, regardless of who's arriving on site at the customer, etc. And my best example of this are these guys, right? We all know the Golden Arches. They might not make the best hamburger in the world, but you know that wherever you are in the world, you're going to get a clean, fast service restaurant, reasonably priced food. The bathrooms are going to be clean. There's going to be a play area to take care of your kids. And they've come up with a recipe that works and they've systematized it to that level that they can do it again and again around the world. Consistency. So have you developed those areas inside your business? Right. So you can see there's a lot of work to be done just to get the foundations right on mastery. So all those slides there, and there's obviously behind all of those areas, we'll be working with you on tools and templates and videos to watch and help get that stuff in place. It takes some time. But the nice thing is you see these blocks get smaller. It gets easier over time. But it's important to get that right because now we're going to turn attention to marketing and sales to grow profits. But you want to get the foundations right first. So one of the first things on marketing is defining your niche. Be very clear, who's your ideal client? How can you really add value to them and define what we call your unique selling proposition or your value proposition? Because if we're in a cluttered marketplace, what can we do to stand? And often we're being seen as a commodity. How do we, where people can see us and say, actually, I can see you guys might be a bit more expensive, but I can see you're going to give me more value. That's got to be in all of our marketing material, on our website, in our blogs, on our business card, in our advertising, where people can see that we're going to give something more. So we've got to be innovating in this space all the time, especially those of you that are on a very commoditized market. The other area is that we need to start looking at our marketing machine. We use the word marketing leverage, and we use a concept called the business chassis. A lot of cars out there look very different. Take away the bodywork and the badge, and it's the very same chassis. We need to start looking at that and understanding when you look at your own business, are you very clear on your marketing numbers? Not just your financial numbers that you work on with your accountant, but your marketing numbers. I'll show you the concept here. Because I was showing you on this slide here. So Audi, Volkswagen, Porsche, right? Same chassis, very different car on it. And here's a lovely example I found years ago. This lady in the United Kingdom, she bought this scrap Volkswagen Beetle. I think she bought it for about £500, stripped it down to the chassis, rebuilt it into this Porsche Roadster and sold it for £25,000. That's a pretty good return on investment. So what I want to show you now is if you can understand the chassis in your own business, how can you convert your 5 million Rand business into a 50 million Rand business, for instance, in terms of value? So the key thing is about testing and measuring. I need to start getting scientific with our marketing and getting scientific with our marketing numbers. We have to be testing and measuring. And then we're going to look at these 5 areas. So if I asked any of you on the call, how many customers you serviced last month, you could tell me. If I asked you what was your revenue, your total sales value, you could tell me. And if I asked you how much profit you made last month, you could tell me. And if you didn't know offhand, you could go into your bookkeeping software, or you could phone your bookkeeper, accountant, and you could give me those results. But those are results. If I asked you, how did you get those results? It would probably be quite different. So that's why we want to look at the 5 areas that lead to those 3 outcomes. So you'll see it's the areas in blue we want to start working on, because those are the ones we can change. If you remember from school, your maths teacher will have told you can't change what comes after the equal sign, but you can change what comes before the equal sign. So that's what we want. So here's just a fictitious business, right? Just to demonstrate the power of this. So here's a business. Last month they had 4,000 leads. In other words, 4,000 human beings made an inquiry, popped into the shop, whatever it might be, interested in buying. They know they had 1,000 customers that actually bought from them. So we can take customers divided by leads times by 100. Now we know their conversion rate percentage. So you see how useful this is already. Now we can start pinning down and once you start tracking these numbers and start seeing the monthly trends, you'll see, does this business have a marketing problem? In other words, they're not getting enough leads. Maybe they've got more than enough leads, but here we see here, this company, offhand, it looks like they've got a conversion rate problem. Why are they only converting 25% of those leads into customers? 75% of the people that walk through the door are taking their money somewhere else. But now it depends on the industry. It depends on the trend for that particular business. Because you can imagine the local supermarket has probably got a 99% conversion rate, where the local real estate agent has probably got a 3% conversion rate. So it's different in different industries. You want to work out what is your trend, what is your average. So now we know why they had 1,000 customers. We want to measure what we call the average number of transactions. So some people had 1 invoice, some people came back a couple of times, had 3 invoices. The average number of invoices for last month was 2, and the average spend was 100 Rand. So some people spent 50 Rand, some people spent 300. So this example, this might be a coffee shop or something like that, right? We multiply that out, and now we know why their total sales for the month was 200,000 Rand. 75% of that revenue went to cover their costs, expenses, cost of sales, their suppliers, etc. So they got to keep 25% margin, so they had profit of 50,000 Rand. Now you could do gross profit and a net profit below it, which is fine as well, and that's how we measure it with our clients. But just to illustrate the example, we'll just lump gross and net profit together. So that's what a typical chassis looks like. There's a little tool that we use with our clients. We start tracking these numbers, and you can track them daily, weekly, monthly, depending on how close you want to focus on this. And once we start tracking the numbers, you'll find they actually start getting better just by tracking them. But now, to really start improving these numbers, we want to start looking and say, what strategies can we implement to start improving each of these numbers? And this is what we do with our clients over time. Every 3 months, we do a planning session. We put all the strategies in front of our clients, and they have to say, which areas am I focusing on this quarter, and what strategies am I going to implement to improve each of those 5 metrics? And there are plenty ideas on what you can do. So when people say, oh, I'm not making any money, and there's nothing I can do to improve my business in this economy or in this climate, you say, nonsense. There are over 300 strategies that you can use, but we need to be targeted and make sure we're focusing on the right area. So this is how we demonstrate the power of, imagine you start tracking your numbers and every month you're updating. There's a spreadsheet I'll send you. Start tracking your numbers. We start implementing strategies over time in each of these 5 areas. Because remember that it takes time to learn the strategy. It takes time to implement. It takes time to fine tune the strategy to see how we can do it better. So we start implementing. Imagine we can improve lead generation by 10%. So that's just an extra 400 leads per month. So, getting better at online marketing, getting active on LinkedIn, getting out to industry events, getting advertising on the radio, hiring a telemarketing person, branding your vehicles. There's tons of things we can do to start getting more leads. We only want 10%. Why don't we don't want a bigger percentage? Because you're going to drown. We're all busy already. To double, imagine the same business had to now do twice as many quotations or go to twice as many visits or customer visits. 10% is quite manageable. At the same time, we put in strategies to improve our conversion rate. Reading a book on sales, doing some sales training with our staff, putting a guarantee system in place, updated websites, branding, things like that, offering a guarantee, better quality LinkedIn profiles, talking about vision, mission, interviews with the owner. There's so many things you can do to improve conversion rates inside the business. Again, just a 10% improvement. But this is where the power comes into effect, because you can see here how 10% improvement in each of those 2 areas gets you a 21% improvement in number of customers because of the compounding effect. And that the investment advisors are so good at this stuff, compounding interest. We need to leverage this inside our marketing machine as well. So we now have 21% more customers. If at the same time we put some strategies in place to get customers coming back more often, right? So sending out a regular newsletter to your database. I got to ask the question, does everybody keep a database? And you can't reaching out to your database regularly. At least every 3 months, your customers should be hearing from you. Trust me, they've forgotten about you. So connecting with your clients on LinkedIn, social media marketing, doing events with your customers, popping in with donuts, taking clients for lunch to the rugby, whatever's appropriate in your specific industry, birthday cards and birthday gifts. What are those things you can do? The reminder systems to get your customers coming back more often. And then what are you doing to improve the average rand sale? Cross-selling, upselling. Are you training your team on this? Have you used checklists in your business? When you check out of an Amazon purchase, don't you love it at the bottom of Amazon? It'll say people that bought this product frequently also bought these products. What are they doing to top up your basket? McDonald's, when you buy a hamburger, can I supersize you? Can I upsize you? Do you want fries with that? Have you worked out what is your supersize question in your business? And have you systematized it in such a way that you're always asking your customers? And the script is not what you say, but it's basically like, your wallet is open. You're about to give me that 200 Rand note. How about I also get that 20 Rand note as well? But out of ethics and giving value and a product that they really want and need, or an additional service, what are we doing to up the average spend per sale? At the same time, and look what happens there. Those 10% in those 4 areas get you 46% more revenue because of compounding interest. And if at the same time, we get a 10% improvement in our margins by negotiating better with our suppliers, by watching our costs, by regular price increases, etc. We improve our margins, profits go up by 61%. Some people think, oh, only 10%. Look how these things compound. Now, obviously, there'll be some areas you can grow by 10%, some areas you can only grow by 2%, some areas you maybe can grow by 20%. There might be some of those 5 ways you can't grow at all. Some businesses, some industries have government price control on what they can and can't charge. But the idea is that we want to be working on all of those different areas. So whatever, if you did your own chassis, your own numbers, whatever it currently looks like, put 10% on each of those areas, you're going to have 61% more profit come the end of whatever financial period you look at. So this is an area we coach quite heavily on with clients that want us to help with marketing, because also, this is one of the areas we look at finding our fee. Obviously, we have different coaching programs at all levels of investment, but you always want to see that there's got to be a tangible return on a coaching investment, and by improving the financial results, that's very tangible and measurable. So we want to have some goals around this stuff. If you had that profit, where's it going to go? Some of you might say, Who's done a dream chart recently or a vision board?" Are there toys you want to buy? Are there vacations and experiences you want? We're also psychologically, if we know where that money is going to go, we're going to be a lot more hardwired to implement those ideas. And we'll obviously do that together as a team. So here's some of the strategies for lead generation. I won't go into detail now, but as you can see, there are full list: lead generation strategies, conversion rate strategies. What can we do to get our customers coming back more often? Average spend strategies and margin strategies. There's plenty. And obviously, some of these are easy to implement, some of these are hard. Some of them are free to implement. Some of these strategies cost money. So the idea is about learning the strategies, trying them out, fine-tuning them over time. And this is just for a bit of fun. I showed you what happens if you grow these areas by 10%. If you can double each of those 5 areas, look what happens to your 50,000 Rand profit business. That becomes a 1.6 million Rand profit. And obviously, that's why I use those words there just for fun. I've never seen a business double all 5. We've worked with businesses that have doubled isolated areas, because there's some that can, some that can't. But to double, and you can imagine a business that's already got 95% conversion rate, you're not going to double their conversion rate. But the idea just shows the thinking around it. 10% in each area is generally quite doable with your existing infrastructure, with your existing team. So there's power in these numbers. And if we listen to this very clever man, and this is what I believe in, is so relevant in marketing, it is not necessary to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. There are too many business owners out there that are looking for the silver bullet, this one strategy that's going to change their business overnight. If I just hire that new sales rep, if I just build that new website, if I just do that radio campaign, whatever, that one thing, job done, and then I retire tomorrow. It's lots of little improvements consistently over time. And that's our job as coaches. We see most of our clients we see every week or every second week. And literally the conversation is, what have you done to improve your business since I saw you last? Show me the strategy you've implemented. Let's look at the numbers. Is it working? Brilliant. If it's working, pat on the back. If it's not working, well, let's play around with it and do a deeper dive and see why it's not working. Let's try that strategy in a different way. Let's apply some different thinking around it. And these little improvements over time do some extraordinary things inside our business. The only time we're finished is when we sell the business. We need to be doing this thinking all the time. And I think a lot of you would agree, if I had to ask you what marketing strategies that used to work for you maybe 3-4 years ago probably aren't working right now. Especially online, the algorithms are changing all the time, and even buying behavior and getting out to work. What we're finding as well is your clients getting really good at digital marketing, but also going back to a lot of the old school strategies, like giving out flyers and newsletters and running events and things like that. There's very few businesses that are relying 100% on digital marketing. We need to be supplementing that with other, I like to call them sort of old school strategies. And so you get the idea here. Mastery was the foundations, get a commercial business. Marketing is about consistently getting our profits up and building a marketing machine. Now we want to start looking at our systems to make sure that we are getting consistent results, a business that works. We all know what this acronym stands for: saving yourself time, energy, and money. That's what a system is for. And this is the blueprint. So I'm going to just hammer through the last couple of slides quickly, because as you can see, the hard work is early on, getting the foundations right, building a solid marketing machine. But until now, you as the owner are doing a lot of the work. So to start pulling you out of the business, we need to start spending some time really getting on top of the system. So you'll have a lot of these systems in place, but it's now about fine-tuning them, cleaning them up, polishing them, etc. And this is basically the roadmap. The first 3 areas. Have you got your vision statement documented, mission statement? In other words, how are you going to get there? And what is your culture statement? And the vision statement isn't just there's a brass plaque on the wall or it's a page on the website. I've met so many business owners who ask them, do you have a vision statement? They'll say, oh, yes, I do. I'll say, what is it? I don't know. I said, well, I know. I visited your website before I came to the meeting, and this is your vision statement. Did you write that? And the owner says, I think the web designer wrote that vision for me. The vision's got to be a real thing that resonates with you and resonates with your team, because a good vision will enroll and inspire people to do business with you. And you remember at the start of the session, I started off by talking about our vision, world abundance through business re-education. That is Action Coach's vision for 33 years, and it still gets all of us very excited to do what we do. We shout about it from the rooftops. It gets us to come to work even when it's raining. All right. Smart goals. Your 5-year goals, your 2-year goals, because obviously your vision is your 100-year goal. You know, the big, hairy, audacious goal is your vision. We need to have 3-year goals, 1-year goals, quarterly goals, etc., that are documented, right? Have we got a brilliant. Slindila's just put a link. If you guys look on the chat there, that book I've got up on the screen is a brilliant one around the systems. Thanks, Lee. So smart goals, where are we going? Organization chart, you know, who reports to who and who's responsible for what. You know, it's got to be updated regularly, up on the wall, so there's no misunderstanding on who does what. It's also a good exercise to do. What is today's organization chart versus also what will this company look like maybe your 3 year from now, future dated organization chart. Was a great exercise to do as well. Once we've got that organization chart, does everybody on that organization chart have a position contract? That's the word we don't use the word job description and action coach. We like to say position contract, because the idea is that the contract belongs to the position. So for every position on the organization chart, there's a contract that whoever takes that position will sign. And say, while I'm fulfilling this role, these are my duties, my key performance indicators, however, and that's what you'll see here. The next point is that everybody has key performance indicators that they are tracked against. How many phone calls they need to make per day, per week, per month? What is their profit margin, to their revenue target, the debtors days targets that the bookkeeper's chasing, etc. Right? So everybody's got to have clear KPIs that they're getting measured against. This is a big job now, the how-to systems. The how-to systems is your checklist, your policies and procedures, your dress codes, your customer service, your training and induction programs, and how you onboard new staff, your disciplinary procedures, our way of doing whatever the service is. So when people join the company, they can get trained up on it. And you can say, I don't care how it was in your last company, when you're wearing our logo on your shirt, this is our way of doing things. All right. And the last point, we call it management systems. Sometimes we call it the loop. So management systems is where would everybody find all this stuff? Is it all in a file somewhere? Is it on a OneDrive folder or a Dropbox folder? There's some lovely apps that your staff can actually have on the phone, where the latest version of all the policies and procedures is available at a glance, you know. So, and the reason I use the word loop is, are we updating these things regularly? Because sometimes as the business evolves, the systems have to evolve as well. So there's a lot of work in this space. Some businesses that we work with, we're literally starting from scratch. Other businesses are quite far down the road, but you'll find a lot of these things are on, you know, the vision statements on that laptop, and the culture is in somebody's head, and the goals are on a flip chart in somebody's boardroom. You know, we want to get this all into one place, that it's all easily accessible, right? So systems, we've got to do that work, because without systems, and the nice thing is, you'll see if you look at this next slide here, with systems, it's a business that not only works, and now it can become a business that works without you, because now your team have got systems that they can self-manage against. They don't need to be phoning you all the time to say, hey boss, where do I find such and such? Hey boss, how do I do X and Y? Hey boss, an issue has turned up, I've never dealt with it before. There's a place they can go where there's a video they can watch, there's a checklist they can download, whatever it might be, so that they can do that themselves. Now it can be, so now we can talk about getting more out of the team or growing the team. But we're going to wrap up in a few minutes. There are just a few more concepts I wanted to share with you guys. But this is one of my favorite quotations. Most employees are motivated, energetic, committed, enthusiastic, and loyal. Just having a look at your faces there. Nod your head if you agree, or shake your head if you disagree. Because I find most people shake their head when I put this up. But look at the rest of the quote. They're committed, enthusiastic, and loyal, except for the 8 hours a day they work for you. Right? There's a lovely quote by Tom Peters, if anybody's come across his stuff. So I see a hand is raised. I'm not seeing whose hand is raised there. Oh, Anita, did you have a question you wanted to ask? Ah, oh, you're just raising your hand based on the quotation. And this is so profound for me. That's why I love this quotation. Is I meet people all the time. Is oh, Trevor, you don't understand. You can't find good people these days. And then it's my job to obviously challenge that. To say, well, what's your favorite company? Like, pick a big company up there. Is it Apple? Is it Apple? Is it Tesla? Is it Google? There's so many local examples of these brilliant businesses that have done amazing things. Do those companies have good employees? And generally, the answer is yes, right? Because you don't build a good business without good employees. So the question we always need to be asking ourselves is, why would good employees want to work for us? Are we creating an environment that's going to attract and retain great people? Have we got the systems in place? Have we been working on culture and things like that? So how do we get better at this space? A quick checklist. We call it the keys to a winning team. Strong leadership. Is the owner of the business really taking charge and driving strategy, talking about the vision, making the tough decisions? Does everybody have a common goal? And we often find that with businesses, it's you ask the staff, what are the goals? And either the owner hasn't set the goals or the owner knows the goals but haven't shared it with the team. Rules of the game, has that been documented? So that's things like the company values, as well as all the stuff we spoke about in systems, the policies, procedures, etc. Is there a plan that everybody is tracking against? Support risk taking. Do we let people, even though we have the rules in place, are people still allowed to take risks and play to their own style? And importantly, 100% involvement from the top down. Is everybody 100% committed and turning up and present with energy, etc.? And that's why strong leadership at the top is such an important one. Is there a leader having the tough discussions when there are people that aren't turning up physically or emotionally, or people aren't performing, where people aren't hitting their KPIs? Is there a strong leader that's having those tough discussions? And if people aren't going to step up, to then say, well, maybe this isn't the right organization for you. And we've got to get everybody 100% on board. So this is a lovely checklist to see how well your team is rating, how good a job you are doing at running that team. So another key area under team and leadership is recruitment. How we find very few business owners out there have studied or learned or have experience in recruitment. And that's one of the things that stops businesses growing, because either we hire badly or I meet too many business owners that now they're growing the business, they're ready to scale the next level, but don't have the confidence to find good people. So I don't cover it in this session. Actually, we'll probably be doing a talk on it quite soon. We teach a system called the 4-hour recruitment process. There's a whole process we use with businesses to help quickly and efficiently find good people. Because when you get good at that, your confidence as a business owner changes incredibly, where you can put more pressure on your team because if anybody leaves, you can replace them very quickly. But at the same time, you also get the confidence that you can start opening more branches and territories and things like that, knowing that you're good at recruitment, that you can find good people really quickly. So it's an amazing skill to have. But one of the key things is having a set recruitment process, getting very good at taking references and background checks, utilizing tools like psychometric profiling and behavioral tests. There's so many little things that people are overlooking as part of their recruitment process, and they're wondering why we're hiring badly or stuck with an underperforming team. So those are the key areas of getting a business to that definition we said. I mentioned, yes, so synergy and results are two separate levels, but I'm just going to wrap up and talking about them both in the same way at the moment. So the whole idea is synergy and results is where suddenly this business, to a degree, by and large, is working without you. You might have a general manager running the business for you, and you start freeing up some more time. So that's the idea of a synergy level business. Now, it could be a heavyweight general manager with a huge, crazy salary, or it could be that you've promoted somebody internally that is running those systems for you. But the point of this process, and this is what I love with the 6-step framework that we coach our clients through over the years, is a lot of people have called it an MBA in entrepreneurship, and you're using your own company, your own business as the case study. you're learning these ideas, you're implementing it, your business gets better, and then you can use that same thinking and that knowledge now to grow business number 2, business number 3. And this quote of Richard Branson's, I think, puts it so well, is when your first business is your training bicycle. And obviously, some of you will be, that business will be your business for life, and you're going to take it to many, many places. Others would want to maybe sell that business and move on to business number 2, or have somebody run that business for you so you can move on to business number 2 or 3. It depends on your personal goals and where you're wanting to go. But I want to go right back to the basics. And sorry, I love this quote of Jim Rohn's, never wish your life were easier, wish you were better. Work harder on yourself than you do on your jobs. And I always just like to remind people of that, as I'm called a business coach, but the reality is I coach human beings that happen to own business. And the focus is to really focus on ourselves first. And you find as the person grows, the business grows. It can't be the other way around. If you've got a 10 million Rand mindset, you'll never have a 100 million Rand business. So we've got to be focused on these areas and things we want to see our improvements in our business and with our team. We need to be doing those as well. And some great work that we can do this. I'm going to wrap in a second. But in the chat, if you guys don't mind, any feedback, put it in the comments there. What we'll do is we'll finish the session. I'll stop the recording, and anybody that wants to hang around and chat we'll open it up. But just in the chat so long, any feedback or comments or any of those blinding flashes of the obvious, what areas are that you need to focus on, where you're at in any of those areas. And we'll, as I say, we'll stop the recording and drill down on those. So get going on that in the meantime. And so just a delay here. And yeah, I just wanted to share this with you. As you know, I'm a big advocate for coaching, as you can imagine. Thank you, Zanella. Thanks for the comment there. I've been doing this for 60 years, and I always like to remind people, business coaching is just like sports coaching. Picture your top athlete, your favorite team, whatever sport it might be. Can you picture those people lifting those gold medals or trophies or what it might be without a coach? We see it all the time in sport, and not just, and you'll see the top athletes, multiple coaches, all right? And did they win the World Cup and then get a coach? No, they've been getting coached from school days right throughout their career, and it's the same in business. Now, whether you engage a formal coach like myself or any of our colleagues, or just a mentor or somebody, is like, who are those people? Because somebody outside is going to give you a totally different perspective. Somebody outside is going to, Katie, I see your note there that you have to go. I'm glad you could join in. I'll catch you soon. Somebody's going to give you a totally different perspective, and also you're going to be held accountable to a much higher level by getting somebody externally to push you in that space. So I mentioned earlier that if anybody would like to have a session with me, we do offer a free consult. It'll take an hour and a half and drill down on any of these areas and tackle it in a great detail. And that's one of the ways that we get to know people. So Slindile will put it on the group, and she'll email a link out to everybody that was on the call. You can reach out to Slee. Zanella, I see your note. Slee will set you up with that free session. And we'll sit down together and help you drill down on those areas, and also you'll be able to see, is this right for you or not right for you? I love these sessions because I get to see how other businesses tick. So shout if we can help you implement this stuff. I had already asked you to put feedback in the group, and I see a lot of those comments are coming through now, so we'll drill down them on a second. And that is my, I think, parting comment there. I love this quote. One of our top golfers of all time. No matter how tough you think you are, you can't do this on your own. So if you think I might be the right person to help you take your business to a new level, give me a shout and let's sit down together in person or online. Most of the work we do nowadays is online. And obviously, but even if I might not be the right person, let's chat. So I've got plenty of colleagues in the franchise I can introduce you to. And sometimes people don't need a business coach. Sometimes I refer people onto life coaches or consultants, or there's other people that can help in different spaces. But the main point is to be reaching out and see who is that circle of people that can help you grow your business to a totally new level. So what I think we'll do there is I'll stop sharing the screen, and Slindile, you can stop the recording. And those of you on the call, we can just have a quick chat and see if there's any specific questions around that. But for those watching the recording, look forward to catching up with you separately. Sorry that you couldn't make the live session. And yeah, we'll wrap that up now and hang around for a chat. So you can stop the recording there.
Done.